Hey everyone, and welcome to Television from the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from Multiverse TV. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we of course are going to work our way through the episodes of TV this week, including Supergirl, The Flash, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow. That last one, unfortunately, but that's what we do on this show. Have I nailed an introduction for that yet? I feel like that was fairly succinct.
It's better.
It's better, right?
Maybe once you get it and that's nailed and it flows. Once you know what you're saying and you just get that going. Maybe that'll be it.
Well, maybe yeah. So that's what we're going to do this week. So we got those 4 shows to talk about. We do that every week. There'll be timestamps in the description if you want to skip ahead to various ones. If you want to just listen to the Flash one or just whatever, you can do that if you want. But you should listen to all of it because we have great insights.
Yeah, I mean, really, the one you absolutely must listen to is Arrow, because, well, yeah, because the other shows you might actually care about. You might really want some insight on those, and you've not watched it yet. Whereas Arrow, we're just going to trash, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, the one upside to us not getting to this until the end of the week is that most people probably have had a chance to watch the shows yet. So I mean, that's the one upside, is that everyone probably has watched them by now.
I would have thought so, and if not, they're probably not looking up a podcast at this point.
Maybe they are, but at that point, though, they'll wait until they've watched their episodes. I imagine they're not going to rush to this when they've not watched it yet. But hey, so yeah, we're going to get into it. Obviously, a couple of quick bits of news, a couple of tidbits. Now we mentioned this on the actual TV news show that we do, but I'll just quickly kind of bring this up. We got premiere or return dates for the shows after Christmas. I don't have it in front of me, but it was the week of January 15th. They all come back. The one notable thing, though, is that Legends isn't back that week. Legends is coming back in February on a new day. Instead, on Tuesday after Flash, we've got Black Lightning premiering. So that's taking the post-Flash slot. So, that's the thing.
Looking forward to it. I think it says a lot about how the CW sees the Flash, as if they're choosing that for the lead-in.
No, it makes a whole lot of sense. It's their highest performer in terms of ratings, so it makes sense. Even though just the concept of Black Lightning, I feel like it. I mean, obviously quality aside, I feel like it fits maybe more with Arrow, but
interesting. I think I might have paired it more with Supergirl.
Oh, why?
I just think the ideas that it's tackling seem more like it would make a double bill better with Supergirl than I think it's too similar to Arrow to just want them together.
Yeah, because I'm thinking they're both street level kind of vigilantes. You got your grittier side to things, whereas you look at it more from a Supergirl tends to tackle a lot of political subjects. Black Lightning, by its own kind of premise, is also going to kind of be doing the same thing from a different avenue. I guess what you're saying. But regardless, it's on after Flash, which is the one that's the least like, but it doesn't really matter that much. The point is the audience will be there beforehand. They want them to stick around and watch Black Lightning.
Basically, as long as it means that we get Black Lightning to enough of it, assuming it's good, as long as we get more of it, then I'm all right with it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's fine. I'm actually expecting Legends to end up after Supergirl on Mondays when it comes back, which does mean for the rest of Legends season, which will be, I think it's 16-17 again this year. Yeah. There'll be 5 shows a week, which will make this a meaty discussion.
It will. Also, if you're watching weekly, it'll spread the fun dose out instead of just being concentrated on the Tuesday night. You'll get it. You'll get it spread over.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, you get it spread between Monday and Tuesday.
Probably.
Probably, yeah. But then it's just a void, and then you get Arrow, which on its own. Anyway, so that's the thing. So they're back in January, which is kind of what we expect. Obviously, they've done a really good job of keeping it very on schedule this year, and nothing's been taking breaks. That is going to change after Christmas, because it always changes after Christmas, and there's going to be times when, either all the shows will be off for a week, but there's always those weeks where, just one will be off for the week, or 2 will be off for the week, and they'll mix and match.
Sometimes we'll have 3 weeks off, and then you'll have a week, and then it's off for another 2.
Yeah, I remember Flash doing that. Maybe not last year, but season 2, I think, was the year Flash did something really annoying like that. But yeah, so that's back in January, and Black Lightning, of course, will be a part of this show once it starts. The first one might be recorded separately, so we can have just a pilot review up on YouTube for the first one going out, but it'll just be edited into the rest of the show, and then from then on, it'll just be on this show going forward. But that's how we plan to tackle that. So cool. And then the other thing, just a brief update to the Kreisberg stuff from last week. He was suspended from the shows like a day or two after we recorded. So he is officially suspended right now. And a lot of the cast put out statements, not specifically, at least from the ones I saw, they didn't specifically mention him. It almost feels like they've been told not to talk about him specifically.
Yeah, just about the general situation.
But they all put out statements talking about harassment and how they denounce it. Obviously, you expect them to, but a lot of the cast members went, no, this is wrong. This should not happen. They never mentioned him, but it feels like they've been told not to mention him, and they just wanted to make their stance clear, even though they couldn't outright say, yeah, we want him gone. Let's talk about shows. Let's talk about the shows this week. So, first up, we are going to talk about Supergirl, Season 3, Episode 6. It is called Midvale, and it is a flashback episode. It is, we obviously, at the end of the last episode, Kara said, right, Alex, we're going home. We're going to spend some time away. We're taking a break from superheroing and DEO agenting and everything else. And we're going home to Mum. And that's kind of the episode, which is mostly a flashback. They go home, they go to sleep, and then we wake up. And I'm going to call bullshit in this time frame here. 10 years ago, I'm not quite buying 10 years.
No, maybe 15.
More like 15, especially because, well, for a start, Melissa Benoist is my age. And, that's not too far off 10 years ago. Like, it's maybe, because it's more like 12 years, but it's close enough, I wouldn't really complain. But Alex is like 34. So 10 years ago is 24, which... does not sync up.
I'm not having it.
Does not sync up with this, and it's not even like she's meant to be a senior. I don't think. She's like I don't know, because they're both the same year.
Well, see, this is the thing. I always thought Alex was supposed to be older, and then they were in the same class. I was like, oh, okay, but the teacher even says she says that Miss Danvers the senior.
So she's months older. She's not.
Yeah, but I always assumed it was, it's maybe 3 years.
Well, here's the thing. Publicly, they might be close in age, but they're actually, she's actually older.
Well, but even publicly, I thought it was more like a few years.
Yeah. No, they're in the same class, so...
Yeah, it threw me.
I feel like that was a decision that was made in this episode just because, we want them in the same class.
Probably. But even with the actresses, the younger ones, like the one for Alex seemed, a bit older.
Yeah, no, she did. In fact, that's the first thing I'll probably want to talk about is the casting of the girls. Because obviously, we've had flashbacks before, but they were young. They were more like 13, 14 in previous flashbacks. Whereas this was them a bit aged up. So it made sense to have different actresses. Because, in fact, even the actresses they had before were probably too old now, given that was season 1.
Maybe the one that they had for Kara was on Series of Unfortunate Events, so she'd probably get away with it.
She probably would, but she's
busy filming that.
She's too big now, probably, because she's got her own starring roles. Whereas when she did that the first time, she was, up and coming.
Yeah.
I think I did a really good job of the casting here. I feel, especially Alex. I feel like Alex not only looked kind of like her, but she the mannerisms were really down.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was almost creepy how well she was doing, being kind of Alex, but just enough of bullshit teenage stuff inserted because she cares about things that Alex would never care about now.
Yeah.
We've never seen Alex care about being popular or anything like that, but it was just the right mix of that with what Alex is like to you know what, I'm buying it. And Kara was pretty good as well. I don't think she was maybe as nailed, but it was close.
I think she was still very good, but she just didn't have. There's just I don't think I could put my finger, but there's something where she wasn't quite as standout as Alex.
Yeah. But solid enough. Certainly, it wasn't taking me out of anything.
Absolutely.
It was very well done in that sense. And it's them not getting along. Alex is still kind of in. Now, I think they've retconned this a little bit. I feel like Alex got over this at a younger age. Every other time, I always had the impression that she hated her at first, but by the time they were this age, she was probably over it.
Yeah, that's what I always got. You mentioned that they've aged them up for this compared to previous flashbacks. I could have sworn previous flashbacks we'd already, gotten past this.
Yeah, it at least feels that way. I'd probably have to go back and check the episodes.
Yeah, maybe I am misremembering.
To specifically check, but I feel like they maybe dialed that back so we could have the story of them getting closer, for the first time.
Yeah.
But whatever, the episode as a whole, I actually think worked quite well. I have one major complaint that we'll get to, but Connor knows what my complaint is. He knows my my upset
I do.
disposition with one of
I disagree with the complaint.
Of course he does.
Just get that out there already.
But it basically plays like there's like a little caper. There's a little murder mystery that goes on. Kara's kind of friendly with this nerdy guy named Kenny, and he ends up getting killed. He shows up dead, and this obviously upsets her. She tries to investigate herself. It turns out Alex was also kind of friendly with him. He was helping her with one of her classes. Yeah, he was tutoring her on something, and they end up teaming up and try to investigate who the killer is. And they think it's this teacher who's dating a student, and then obviously it swerves, and it was really obvious who the killer was going to end up being. Like, as soon as they even implied that there was going to be like a red herring, I mean, I bet it's the sheriff, because he's the one other human, like adult character that we've met the entire episode. It has to be him.
Definitely.
There's absolutely no one else it could be. But I think most of it worked well enough. Like, I'd have a problem if they went back and did this multiple times, because there's going to be a point where I'm like, this is bullshit. How many adventures did they have when they were teenagers? But I'll take one.
Yeah, I think you can do it a couple of times, like the first one, and then when they're a little bit further along, going, okay, no, we want to do this.
Yeah, well, I can take another story with them in high school, but it can't be another murder mystery. Like,
no, definitely.
Yeah, it can't be something that severe again, and it has to be, at least if it's severe, it has to be severe in a completely different way. Then there's a villain that we need to catch, kind of thing. Because it would feel kind of talky. But
it would.
So yeah, they team up and they work through their issues. They get closer, and it deals with some things. Supergirl obviously brings up political issues from time to time. This one, it was statutory rape gets brought into the argument. Not in a huge way. It's just kind of brought up at least once where Alex goes and confronts a friend who's dating a teacher, and gives her shit for it. But
it's a very amusing line, actually, the way she snaps back at a friend, because her friends, she points out that there's a 10-year age gap, and in 5 years no one will even care. Alex hits back with, yeah, in 5 years he'll be halfway through his prison sentence.
It's kind of calling it because it's one of those tropes in high school shows where there's usually an affair with a teacher and a student. And
and a certain other recent CW show was very guilty of this.
Very guilty. So much so they quickly retconned and wrote it out the show as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah.
But so it was kind of nice for them to call out that trope. But like, so I think it worked. I kind of, Joe. I think this episode could have completely fallen flat, but I think the casting of the girls kind of made it really work.
I agree, because I think a lot of the emotional moments in this show have not come from the writing; they've come from the acting, and I think the writing was on par with what we usually see.
Yeah.
So it was a perfectly good standard, but nothing that you go, oh, this writing is great. But then the cast elevated it, even here. Yeah,
it's kind of a gamble because obviously we're used to Benoist and whoever, like they're all great and they carry the episodes a lot of the times, but. For this entire episode, it's kind of risky. You're giving 90% of the runtime over to these guest stars who, maybe we'll see again in a flashback here or there, but like this is, they're not going to be regulars now. Like they can't be. So it's kind of a risky thing to say here, guest stars, you take over this episode. Sure, we'll have a little cameo from some other actors we know, but it's not like their mum's that big a character in the show anyway. She pops up from time to time.
Yeah,
and. We get one little moment with Jean, which I really liked. We'll talk about that, but it's these two young girls who, like, if they were terrible, this entire thing, this would have been one of the most tedious episodes ever.
And let's be honest, they're at the age where a lot of actors are not great.
They are, and luckily, and I think as much as we said, Kara wasn't as good as the Alex actress. I think I want to commend her at least that she kind of nails. Again, this mix of what we think of as Kara with the way she kind of like looks at things and treats things, but with enough of that like early Supergirl anger where she doesn't really like Earth and she doesn't like human beings yet.
Yeah, I'd say she's not as good as Benoist.
Oh, of course.
But she's definitely well above average and more than capable of carrying the role.
Is that you saying that the Alex actress is as good as Shayla Lee, isn't it?
She's getting up there, though. She's closer.
Maybe when she's older. Maybe when she's that age.
Give her a little bit more experience, and I can see it.
She'll be funny. It's funny, actually. Shayla Lee, every so often I'll remember she was in not another teen movie, and I'll be like, oh, God. She's come a long way. I'm glad she did a lot of things.
Some old music video last week.
Oh yeah, Marilyn Manson.
Yeah,
because that's for that movie. She's like the nerdy girl who turns into the goth in that music video.
It was just the music video that I saw. It cracked me up.
But yeah, it's just weird.
That said, Benoist was doing a Minecraft musical this week, and it is amazing.
I saw her tweet something about Minecraft, and I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, they got a new ad campaign. I don't know why, because it sells enough anyway. But they've got her involved, and it's a full like 3-4 minute musical number. Yeah,
I think Minecraft is only beaten now by Tetris in terms of how many like sales over its lifetime.
It's stupid.
Like that, and we're talking about like Tetris over its 30 years of selling on multiple things here.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, Minecraft's on about 10 systems as well at this point, but still, like
it's get up there. Yeah, it's stupid, but man, it's worth watching.
Is it? Okay.
Just for Benoist, obviously.
I don't care about Minecraft, and I don't like musicals, so I feel like none of this is going to apply to me. But
you like Benoist, so you should watch it.
I do like Benoist. In fact, there was photos this week of her in our. Obviously, we'd seen her with the mask on from the crossover, but she had like her mask off, and she was like evil Supergirl, and I'm like, oh man, I think I'm going to enjoy this.
Yeah,
I'm going to enjoy. Evil Supergirl is going to be fun. I think letting her do something completely different it's usually funny. Like, and I'm not just doing this, but on the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, whenever they had like a swap bodies thing or they had an evil version of a character, there was an episode of Angel specifically where this old pervert guy like took over Angel's body and swapped bodies with him, and like seeing like Boreanaz get to play this complete creep for an episode, like it was so much, you could just tell he was having fun. Like it was something completely different to normal.
Yeah. I think it's interesting with Benoist because typically I think I've only ever really seen her in like a nice girl role. She's never really done anything, and then the only really times we've got to see anything close to her when she does like when she gets angry on this.
Yeah, she's a very sweet person just by her. Yeah. She has that aura around her.
Yeah.
So I think that's why she typically gets those roles. So maybe it'll be fun to see her be a complete bitch.
Yeah. She can add it to a show reel if nothing else.
Maybe ham it up. I'm kind of hoping for puns. I want dark puns.
Actually, I'm with you.
Do you know what I want? I want her to like crack a joke about doing something that's clearly a jab at Snyder's Superman.
Yeah. And we're like, hey, yeah, look, this is the evil one suggesting that.
So I want her to snap someone's neck or something, just like the end of Man of Steel. It'd just be like, yeah, the evil version of Supergirl on this show does that, not the real one. Yeah, just take notes, people. Take notes. But so no, I like the Jean thing because obviously she comes home at one point and they'll try to like talk her out of like investigating anything, and like her mother's there, and I'm like, okay, what creepy nonsense is this? And it was a really nice, well done moment because there was that little thing where she knows it's not her just because she says, I must have one of those faces, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, she says, I'm not your mother. I'm an FBI agent.
I'm like, there's something else going on here. I'm actually appalled at myself that I didn't guess that it was just Jean.
Oh, did you not?
I didn't. I knew there was something else. I was like, okay, something like I actually thought it was going to be like they've got that the hologram thing.
Yeah.
I was like half expecting like that to be like in the floor or something to like have this just so they could talk her out of it. My mind was going in lots of places. I'd kind of forgotten that Jean was involved with them being at the house like the whole life, like because it's been so long since we've talked about that. But that was a nice thing that it would turn out to be Jean. But I really liked the moment where she says like in Kryptonian, she's like, "Oh, I miss you, Mum," and there's that little moment of recognition where you can tell that she probably understood, and she's not meant to understand it, but she probably understood it. And she walks off. I like that. It was.
That's good. And I actually really like what it did for Jean as well, because obviously he's there talking her out of doing these things. And he goes out into his car, turns back to being him, and he has that look of like, he knows that he probably shouldn't have done that. He should be encouraging this. He should be encouraging her to be this good person.
Yeah. But at the same time, she's because this is the mum's whole thing is that it's not your job. You're a kid. Like when you're older, sure, go be a hero. But
Jean looks like he's concerned that he might have accidentally talked her out of it for good. He's gone too far.
Yeah. Then obviously things worked out eventually. But
they did. But I mean, you have to remember, she had made the choice not to be a superhero. She was going to just be a normal person, and it wasn't until the plane crash that she was forced.
She had made that choice though, but if we're believing this 10-year gap, that was 3 years ago, and if she was like say 15 here, 16 here, she was like 26. So 3 years ago she was 23. She wasn't that old when she made that choice.
No, no, no. It's true.
So she was basically, like out of college for a year or two at
I
most.
agree. I
so,
agree.
so not wasting that much time. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not saying it's not like you got to middle age and gone, I should have done something with my life.
Yeah, it's not like she's like 50 and like, oh, that's it, Kryptonians. As Superman, who's supposed to be like 20 years older than her, would attest to don't age as much on Earth, so maybe that would be an issue anyway. Dear. So that was good. I liked that stuff. Obviously, I'm going to talk about what I didn't like now. So when they start investigating, and don't get me wrong, it makes sense. It makes sense that in the episode that's set at Supergirl's in high school before she's Supergirl, it makes sense to reference Smallville in some way. Like, you know what? I understand that it makes sense to reference that here. I do. And I was okay at first when they just sort of referenced Chloe. They're like, oh, Clark's got a friend Chloe who can probably get the information off this hard drive for us. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. But then she just had to go, she even has this wall of weird, and I'm like, oh no, no, you've just you've spelled it out, you've rubbed it in the wound. You don't have to go that far.
As someone who unashamedly loves Smallville, despite its atrociousness, I am all for this. And Chloe was one of the best parts of that show.
Chloe's fine. I mean, she was basically Lois Lane Light.
She was, exactly.
And arguably kind of Felicity 0.1.
She was she was the Felicity prototype.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But I'm not holding her responsible for that.
Yeah, I didn't hate the early seasons of Smallville. It was never good. It was always kind of like, it had some moments, but it was really mediocre. And then the second half of that show was, oh dear. But, and they kept bringing her back up. Oh, I got a message from Chloe. She gave us the stuff back. And then later on in the episode, I talked to Chloe about this. I'm like, shut up, stop talking about Chloe. Too much. You made your reference. Calm down. What I did like was Kara being excited about talking about Superman and what he's up to. It's like, oh, he captured Lex Luthor. They're like Nemesis. Or Nemesi.
Nemesi.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I guess she knows the plural of Nemesis because she's a brainy person. All right.
Yeah. But we didn't know that, did we?
Nah. Nemesis? Nemesi?
Just Nemesis, but with an apostrophe after it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think if in doubt, I'd have just said Nemesis. I'd have just said the same word. Nemesis.
Yeah. So that sounds safe, doesn't it? Sounds right.
Sounds safe enough. Yeah, and I was like, this little moment because the other kid's kind of like, you're weird and stalkery and you love Superman too much, and Alex kind of sticks up for her, even though she still kind of hates her at that point.
Yeah,
but
but it's only I get to hate her. It's that sort of hate.
Yeah. I also like that when Kenny's getting like bullied by the jocks, like Carol like snaps off half the table. She's like getting ready to intervene. She's like, crunch.
Yeah. Actually, that's what I should point out. That bit when the jocks do that, he goes, "Oh, you better hope you don't have an accident." I was like, okay, so he's dying. I did not expect it in 2 scenes later. I thought that was going to be like the end of the episode sort of thing when they did that line.
And just to try and tell you that it's in the past, he makes a South Park joke at one point.
Yeah, that made me feel old. I was like, Jesus, 10 years ago, the South Park jokes. This is already like that.
It's funny actually. That is actually one of the things that makes me feel the oldest. Is when it was the Fantastic Four. Now, admittedly, the Fantastic Four movie is not a good movie. Obviously, it's an atrocious movie. But I remember feeling really old at the start of that movie because it flashes back to when Reed Richards is like a kid. He's like 12, and it comes up saying like 2006, and I was like, no.
What was it a couple of years ago? Oh, it was Scream Queens, where they were talking about their one of the first movies that they go with the Twilight.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And it was like one of the first PG-13 things they would see was Twilight. I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, you made me feel old here. Like, I shouldn't feel that old. I'm not even 30 yet. Just stop making me feel old.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's genuinely one of the things that makes me feel old is when they do a flashback to when the adult character was a kid, and I'm like, wait a minute, I was already like nearly 20 at that point. Stop it. Stop this right now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I wasn't nearly 20. I mean, 2006, I was 17, but I mean, I was still in high school, but like, it's just weird that the flashbacks now are like when I was also that age or even older than that age, and that's bugging me. But hey ho. So, No, so I like that stuff, and yeah, I mean the actual sheriff plotting, like covering up his drug deal. I mean that was whatever. It didn't really matter. It was just kind of fodder.
It was one of those things where it's like it's there. I don't really care, but it's not the point.
Yeah, it's not the point.
I know that's the plot, but it's not what this episode's about.
Nah, it's about the girls, it's about them bonding, and Kara getting a taste for adventure, and then at the end being like, no, I'm not going to use my powers because you almost died twice, which I thought was a nice little almost joke. That after that, when they wake back up in present day, that like when they're getting back in the car, and Alex and I'll drive back. I almost died twice, and they'll be up here. And I thought that was like a funny little thing. That now it's her driving that almost kills her twice, and not the superpowers. I thought that was amusing.
Yeah, the superpowers are much safer.
Which I actually just to talk about the actual modern present day arcs for the characters. So, Alex has kind of a good point when Kara's trying to like get her to cheer up and like get over this, and like you can't let yourself be shut in, and you have to like move on. And she's like, yeah, like you for like 6 months, like being mopey about Monel and like everything you've been doing and all your dark shit. And Kara's like, oh well, I didn't expect mean drunk. Let's go to bed. And she's all bitchy about it. But then the next month she's like, yeah, you're kind of right. I can't really like. I like it from Kara's perspective because it's almost like a mirror where she gets to see, oh wait, yeah, now I'm expecting her to be better, and I've been moping around like a tool. So
yeah,
I like that. That's a nice
little
touch.
But I think this does hit on my one problem with the episode, is that their arcs kind of just literally happen overnight. Like we have most of the episode in this flashback, which is really good stuff, but in the present day stuff, she goes to sleep mad at her. She wakes up, oh, okay, it's fine. There's not really anything to it.
I'll counter that to an extent. It's the idea that you go to bed, you wake up, the idea of sleeping on something, and then you wake up and you're not as angry anymore, and you think about what actually happened, you think about what was said, and then they come out and she's at the telescope, and it's like, so you get the idea that Kara's been up for a couple of hours and she's been thinking about that story.
Yeah. No,
so
I get it. It felt like I actually needed one other scene in there as well. But then, you ruin the flow, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. On a meta level, it's kind of weird because they didn't actually experience the flashback because they were asleep. But but otherwise, I think it works okay. So that'll take us on to the Flash season 4, episode 6. It's called When Harry Met Harry. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. I don't always say that in these. It's just sometimes I get an autopilot because I always say that when I do an individual TV review. But hey, so this is an episode about Black Bison, who is a very small character from comics. He's actually a Firestorm villain, and he's typically a he, I believe, which is why I said he. But here we have this female version who is trying to assemble her magical necklace for her native.
A lot of totems at the minute, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot of totems. And it's funny because typically I often find that when TV episodes, there'll be the episode, and I'm thinking of like the X-Files, I'm thinking of just other shows like that from the 90s and stuff. Not that one, I can't think of one from Buffy.
I can see you racking your brain.
No, there wasn't one in Buffy, so I can't think of one, at least not off the top of my head. But and I always feel like they always end up being weak episodes. There's always this thing, whereas this one didn't go down that path because it didn't actually go into it too much. It had a nice little message at the end where it was kind of like, Dibney sent the necklace back to her people anyway, even though she was doing wrong. So no, it belongs to them, so they should have the necklace. But they didn't go deep down into talking about it too much because I feel like for whatever reason it's just a plotline that always bogs down whatever episode of a TV show that they try and put it in. But
yeah, Smallville's definitely done it.
Oh, Smallville definitely did it. Yeah. But she basically has this power where she can basically animates objects, but only objects that take the form of either people or animals, effigies as they point out, and Dibney cracks up because he thinks that's a dirty word. And so that's the whole thing. Dibney's still a main character. He was here the whole episode. I am okay with that. He is cracking me up.
Do you know what? We were expecting to be okay, here he is now, and here he is later. He's actually quite a prominent role on the team, and it feels like, okay, he could be around for most of the season. He's kind of replaced Tom Felton.
Yeah, it kind of has, and I like Tom Felton, but I kind of like Dibney more.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can disagree with that.
I'm okay with it. I will say this: his balloon animal with his flesh was creepy as shit. Don't do that again.
But kind of amazing. Do it. Definitely do it again.
It was creepy as shit. That girl's going to need like therapy for the rest of her life. Which, by the way, we got back to the therapist from the second episode, which cracked me up as soon as it cut to her, and it was all three of them on the couch. He's like, thanks, doctor, for squeezing us in. You know, our friend Ralph here, yeah, he's got some problems. He has to remember this stuff, and Flash is like, yeah, could you fix his personality as well? That'd be good. The whole thing, every time we cut to that therapist, and I didn't expect to see her again, so it was like a real nice surprise to cut there. Basically, he's trying to like remember if he remembers anyone from the bus, you know, and he kind of remembers Bison from the Bison on her jacket. And that's about it. But yeah, so
and lots of measurements.
Yes, he didn't see the women's faces, but he did recount all their measurements, which Iris, because Barry's like, are those bus routes? And she's like, no, it's their measurements. Ew.
Yeah.
And then he walks in later on, and he's like. And he just said, instead of saying, hey, Caitlin, he's like, hey, 34, something, you know, I can't remember the numbers, whatever. Yeah. And he's like, did you just give me my measurements? And it's like, oh, no.
A, yeah, that's creepy as shit. You should probably stop it. B, it's kind of hilarious when he does it because everyone else looks at him going, dude, that's awful. C, kind of impressive that he does it just at a glance.
Oh, yeah, it's one of those TV things that no one could ever actually just do that.
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's physically impossible, but the joke is that he's such a pervert that he can just do it by looking. Yeah, whatever. He's such a goofball. I particularly enjoyed the opening scene with the mugging, and Barry's like, oh, this is great. This is, you know, muggings are like superhero 101. Like, you can take him, and he's like, oh, maybe I could be a big giant slingshot, or a big slinky. And they're arguing, and then the mugger's like, hey, you know, I'm still trying to rob you. And he's like, just 1 minute, sir. Right, we'll be with you in 1 minute. And then he accidentally shoots the guy in the ass with a rebound bullet, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, Barry keeps going, you know, you shot him. Stop shooting him. And he's like, well, he's not really, is he? He put his hand up.
He's not. Well, I think the point is, though, that his powers can... You know, much like Barry has to learn to control the Speed Force, otherwise it might cause damage around him, Dibney has to learn to not ricochet bullets around. Like, that's
what he has to do is he has to take the bullet in and then squeeze.
Yes, that's what he needs to learn to do. That said, though, I really... It's a simple little thing, but I really enjoyed Barry muttering to himself as he was walking away, saying, I'm going to shove a lightning bolt straight up your ass.
Yeah. Again, also, though, can we add to the counter of Barry revealing his identity? This random mugger who takes to the hospital. Like, I get you got to get him to hospital, but this guy just looked at your face. You just stood there having a conversation with him, basically.
I think he's counting on the trauma being so much that he just...
No. He's not even... He doesn't even give a shit. He's not even caring. He's just like, whatever. This guy is a low-rent mugger. Who cares if he knows? Yeah,
well, you know what? We're not going to talk about Justice League, but let's just say Lois likes to shout out the word Clark in front of a lot of random people that I think she should maybe stop doing. So, you know, Barry's not the only one guilty of this, just for the record. But, yeah, so that's kind of the main plot, is dealing with Black Bison. We have them fighting a suit of armor. Dibney gets a suit that's just a shitty prototype, and
it's just grey cloth.
And he's like, okay, let's lift this tarp off and give me my suit. He's like, no, the tarp is your suit. That's yours. So yeah, it was fun stuff, and obviously we'll get to a point where he gets his, you know, black and red, proper suit. I'm looking forward to that, but. There was some fun stuff. So they end up. She actually gets caught at one point, and then uses like the police test dummy thing to like get out of jail, and then goes to the museum to get the last part of her necklace, and we get the skeleton of a T-Rex animated, and Beautiful. It's pretty glorious. It's pretty good. We get 2 back-to-back Jurassic Park references. You know, don't move. It's visions based on sight, which I don't think means anything when it's a skeleton, didn't he?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, look. Your logic is sound.
Don't get me wrong.
But this is being controlled by someone.
I'm not saying that Jurassic Park is accurate. I'm just saying that even if Jurassic Park is 100% accurate in that, I don't think it matters when it's being controlled by another person like a puppet.
Yeah, exactly. I like that he goes after. It's like, that movie is it's lied to me. It's like,
it's full of lies.
I don't think it did.
I mean, it is full of lies. There's a lot of lies in that movie.
Yeah, but not this necessarily.
Velociraptors, for example, are much, much smaller. They're more like turkey-sized.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever.
Shit. Still bite your ankles off.
I also liked it once he actually gets up to the balcony, because he stretches up to grab a hold of it. He's like, and we have a T-Rex, which again is an old Jurassic Park line. So, no, I enjoy the Jurassic Park ones. Yeah, honestly, Black Bison, I didn't really think much of the character or in a plot sense. I didn't really like her that much. She's just kind of there to like facilitate T-Rexes and stuff, and in that sense, it's okay. I like Dimney training. I like Dimney's little arc where he's like, oh, we need to catch the bad guy instead of saving people, and then he puts a girl in the hospital, and that kind of, that's why he's there at the end, giving her weird, creepy flesh balloon animals. It's creepy. It just is. It looks.
It's not that bad. You have no tolerance.
It looks so creepy. It was like, I don't know. It was like a flesh condom. It was disgusting.
I don't know. It just didn't bother me.
And then he's like, giraffe? Oh, that'll take a foot as well. Oh, no.
That'll take some toes.
That's bringing in some more body parts. Stop it, Dimney. Stop it. It's just surreal and creepy. Otherwise, though, we had the Council of Wells trying to figure out who DeVoe is. They're trying to pinpoint who that is, and that leads to some hilarity. We get some we get some Wells from other universes. We have the German eccentric Wells, who's got the thick accent. Yep. We have the Playboy Wells, who's got the southern accent, and then my favourite of the Wells is the Mad Max X cyborg post-apocalyptic Wells 2.0, I believe was the exact name.
Yeah. I did like they was so Mad Max that they even gave him the accent. The
Australian accent, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a brief cameo from Wells the Grey, who even they all don't like. They'll get rid of him. Too much.
I'm not gonna lie though. When Gandalf popped up, I was like, "What is going on? This is amazing."
I am Wells the Grey. So obviously the joke here is that Wells said he had friends, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm proud of you, Harry. You got friends," and it just turns out to be a lot more of him.
And then it turns out he hates them all.
Also, Cisco being horrified at Wells' penis, also enjoyable.
I did find it amusing when that Wells was like, "Hey, we've all seen it."
Yeah, I've not. It's fun stuff. Like, it's mostly just for comedy, and it's mostly just to pinpoint who the DeVoe is that they're going to try and trace.
And it's mainly so that we can go, "Yep, we had some more Wells this season."
Yeah, kinda. And I think there's almost very few moments from it specifically that I want to point out and say, "Oh, that was a great moment." It's mostly just really amusing. There's a lot of little amusing banter moments back and forth, and it's entertaining in that sense. But that's pretty much it. And we see DeVoe, the thinker, in his chair with his assistant, and and we see that he predicts conversations, because he goes to the end of the conversation, and she's like, "What?" It's like, "That's where it's going to end, but okay, fine. If you want to do it the long way, right? Let's go through the motions." And she's basically like, "Oh, they're going to figure out who you are quicker than expected. This is bad." And we don't see them for the rest of the episode, and then by the end, the Wells have figured out. Although I did one line that I did like from the Council of Wells a lot is when the cyborg Wells is like, "Oh, let's find every DeVoe and interrogate them," and the other one's like, "Even the baby DeVoe?" It's like, "Especially the baby DeVoe," and then the German one goes, "Nothing good comes from baby violence." Or whatever the line was, but it was basically almost...
The other line I did particularly like was, when they're all going, "Oh, we can find things that we like about each other." And Wells 2.0 is like, he just goes, "I respect that you all have two eyes."
Because he's got a cyborg eye. Also, when he takes a bite of his rat, the food, like, he's swallowing it through this tube that comes out of his face. Yeah.
He's definitely the best.
So... Yeah, so they find a DeVoe that fits the profile. This DeVoe that lives at X address, and they go to meet him. And Joe, it's weird. I actually called the reveal here, oddly.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I was like, as soon as we... I mean, not that, like, I didn't get it in too far in advance, but when she opened the door and she was all housewife looking, I was like, I bet he's in a wheelchair. I bet he's just, like, in a regular wheelchair, and he's going to be, like, so innocent looking because of that.
Yeah. As soon as it was just a regular looking house, I kind of got it.
Yeah, and so when he popped out, like, because it played it as a dun 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 moment, but like I was like, yeah, I completely saw where that was going.
Yeah, I think it was, as soon as you get to this idyllic little house in this little neighborhood, and then you've got Harry there with a rifle, I'm like, okay, so he's just gonna be a normal guy.
And I like it. It cuts to like Cisco and Caitlin are waiting. They're like, okay, call us in and we'll vibe there when the time comes. And I like that Caitlin goes, "Caitlin and Snow and Frost, ready to go." And I'm like, are you really not noticing your naming there? Like,
yeah.
It is no one pointed out the irony that her name's Snow yet, and she just said, "Oh, Snow and Frost, waiting to go."
I just like the idea that Killer Frost named herself that because it's Snow and Frost.
Okay.
That's how I'm going with it.
Yeah. So I'll give it this. I actually think this is the most interesting Thinker's been.
Yeah,
So,
it's still very predictable, but it was more interesting than.
well, it's just because like I think the reason why I was predicting, I was actually, to be more specific, I didn't get it quite right. I was thinking he was going to be in a coma because I was thinking that this cheesy '90s sci-fi set we've been seeing is all in his head, and that his wife, or if that actually is his wife or whoever, she's like communicating to him through a computer, but he's actually on the computer. Like he's just the thinker. He's just in there, and he was all in a coma, but he's like somehow connected to things.
I'm with you.
I was thinking that was going to be the reveal. Instead, obviously, he's actually in a wheelchair and he seems fine. But that's where I thought it was going. Because to me, that would explain why it's always this really ultra slick, stylish, cheesy set whenever we see him.
Yeah. No,
now, admittedly, I admit there's a flaw in that thinking because we did see him in the chair in the real world at one point. Remember, he ran down the Weeper last week. He was at the end. He was outside in the real world. I did remember that after I thought about it, so obviously it doesn't quite add up. But I was considering it for a bit.
I am intrigued to see how it got pulled off, because they were they were like, oh, they're on their way, and he was like, that's fine, we'll sort out the plan, and then obviously they show up and they're all normal looking. So is it just?
Honestly, if it wasn't for that one scene where we saw him with the Weeper last week, I would. Even if he wasn't in a coma, I would say that all the stuff we've been seeing has all been like virtual or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
No.
But that's where we are. So I think overall it was a fun episode. It wasn't necessarily a standout one, I don't think.
No, I think one of my favorite moments of the episode, that's probably like one of the high points, is when they're at the first crime scene and they see the stone statue of the dog. And Barry and Joe look at each other. What?
It was a cat.
It was a cat.
It was a leopard or something. I can't remember the exact.
All right, I'm forgetting. Either way, the point was, they go over there and go, "Hey, remember when stone statues wasn't our prime suspect, and we didn't take that completely normally."
Yeah, I like how it built up to it as well, because he's describing like, oh, it's like an animal's bit him, and it's like this amount of force, but that's impossible because no animal weighs that much. And then they both just turn around slowly and look at this statue of this this leopard or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's really funny. But no, it's good. I think it suffers a little bit because Black Bison just feels like a throwaway villain of the week.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Like I can't deny that there was enjoyment.
And that's another one of the 12.
Yeah. Like I say, I love that we went back to the therapist office. That was kind of like my biggest I was like, I can't believe how excited I am to see this therapist, but it's just funny whenever they go there. So
I love that we've introduced the idea of the Councillor Wells so that we can expand upon it and get other Wells.
A well of wells, one might say.
One could say that yes. I'm gonna allow that one.
Okay, gonna allow that one. It was fun actually. Remember he had I think it was HR last season. In the future, he had a book, I think, called, or he was talking about writing a book called All's Wells That Ends Wells.
Yeah.
And I was thinking during this, you could probably do like a Wells Council spin-off, and it'd be called that, All's Wells That Ends Wells, and it's just all these wells.
Yeah.
But no, so fun. So I guess we'll move on. Also, obviously there wasn't as much Irish stuff in this one, but I did like. Obviously, I looked at the therapist's office. I also did like when her and her dad teamed up. We didn't see much of it. I just kind of liked that she was like, "Oh, West and West on a case."
Yeah, it would have been nice to see some of their stuff, I think. But I like the idea that she's on his level. They're proactive. They're both going at it.
Yeah, I think we've been seeing enough of her do some cool stuff recently. We don't have to see every episode. It's fine that sometimes it'll just be, no, she'll go and do it off camera.
No, I don't necessarily want to see this episode, but I do want to see the two Wests doing something together
some,
like that.
Detective-y stuff and investigating. Yeah, no, I'm down with that. Alright, so I guess that'll take us on to Legends of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 6. I can't think about these numbers.
One day you'll get these all right.
I didn't know the title of this one until I looked at it just before we started this.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is.
It's actually a reference to a completely different person, but I kind of applaud it. The episode is called Helen Hunt. Of course, a reference to the actress Helen Hunt, but of course here Hunt not being the name, Hunt being the word hunt, as in hunting.
This being the activity,
as in hunting Helen. So so this episode, Helen of Troy is an apparition who is transported to 1937 Hollywood, and we basically do a kind of mock version of the battle over, but with Warner Brothers and K&G Pictures fighting over as an actress that they want in their movies, which is mostly good fun. I want to critique it a little bit because they do this whole thing, and I feel like they try to make a point, because Zari at one point is like, oh, everyone keeps fighting over her. That's not her fault. That's, men fight over everything. But I feel like they actually make a point of showing her effect on men, like, because she's on set at one point, and these like two people who are like fixing lights and whatnot just start having a fist fight almost randomly, immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, this isn't just like normal though. There's like an actual effect happening on people around her, like. And I guess she just she's meant to be the daughter of Zeus and whatever in mythology, so I guess that's kind of why. But they never even like mention the possibility that it's not just more than just normal attraction. There's actually a kind of a mystical
Don't get me
effect
wrong.
here.
She is very, very, very good looking, as is the point. But this is still unrealistic, even for this cartoon.
No, it is unrealistic. It's clearly like a, because I was thinking when I was watching it that maybe by the end they're going to mention that she's cursed or something. But like I say, I guess you're just meant to assume because she's meant to be the daughter of Zeus that's just kind of...
Yeah, I think we're supposed to just go with it.
Which is fine, but it felt weird to me that like there was these little quips being made about it, like, oh, this is just men being men, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for the men badge, I'm fine with it, I really don't care. In fact, I applaud it in most cases. It's usually good fun to poke fun at it, but in this case...
one's like too turned up that it just seems silly.
Yeah, like, no one's throwing punches that quickly over some random woman they've never really met, no matter how attractive she may be.
Exactly.
So that stuck out to me as being a little bit weird. And to be fair, it was just those minor characters, like the way it was handled with the main characters, like, Nate like finding her attractive, like that was just played for fun, like the way he would turn around to Mix, because Mix like, oh, it depends, how hot is she, and like, he's like, oh, she's not that hot, then he turns around and is like, she's really hot, like just so that no one else can see him. So that was fine. It's kind of funny actually, because obviously obviously the Kreisberg stuff being a thing last week, and we talked about how that was weird with the Flash. Obviously he's not as involved with Legends, but I thought it was funny that the very following episode of Legends had kind of a feminist spin on things as well, which is basically that all the ladies have to go and kind of help her because they're kind of worried that the men will be distracted.
Yeah, Mick throws a couple of punches here or there.
Yeah.
But Mick's wanting to do that anyway, so...
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking when they go to the rescuer specifically, they only take, Zarya.
Yeah, I mean, before that, they're all at the big party, and Mick throws a punch or two.
Yeah, so, and, it's fine stuff. It's kind of nice, because the way they do it is that Helen of Troy doesn't expect that women can be this powerful or, be fighters in this way. Like, she's only used to men being the warriors and stuff, and she's, like, impressed that Sarah's the captain. Yeah. And that stuff was all fine. That was all cool. And they're talking about how they have to return onto her time, and she doesn't want to go back because she hates her time period. She hates like what she has to go through there. And Zari actually steals the shuttle to take her back, but doesn't take her back there. She takes her back to the same time period, but not to...
Yes, she points out that even if they don't take her back, the war still happens either way, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah,
she looks into it and sees if it actually would have any effect on history. So instead of taking, because it says she disappeared anyway, so she takes her back to somewhere else where maybe she'll fit in a bit better.
I actually like the idea that maybe this always happened. And this is what they talk about. Oh no, she was just a myth, and they're like, oh well, there's always some truth in the myths, and it's like, well, no, she wasn't. She was there, but then we removed her.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. She is kind of a myth, but this episode treats her like she was in some way.
But then this plays it as, oh no, she vanished, so she was a myth.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the fact that she's the daughter is just, like, in real life, myth.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
disputing that.
But, like, yeah, so here's the thing. So, obviously, we'll talk about the rest of the episode and everything else went on. We got Freaky Friday things to talk about. But since we're talking about this...
Start with the big stuff.
Since we're talking about this ending, where Zari drops her off, and... So it's very bright and sunny, and it's this island, and it kind of like, oh, this is very tropical. And they land, and she's like, oh yeah, so I found this place that's kind of off the grid. It's just an island full of women. And I went, huh, Are they making a Themyscira? And I was just sort of smelling, like, oh, that's a really neat little reference. And I thought that was going to be it. I thought, like, no, they're going to, it's really clear that it's Themyscira because she said that. But
and then at the end she goes, oh, and don't worry, there's no men allowed. I was like, okay, it's definitely Themyscira.
Right.
Okay, and that's nailed it home.
And the camera, like, pulls back out for this big epic shot, and you see the statue, and I'm like, okay, it's definitely Themyscira. And then actually the caption came in saying Themyscira, and I went, okay, what?
I did the same. This is amazing.
I can't believe they were allowed to actually just flat out, because I get that they could hint at it, but I was not expecting them to be allowed to actually just call it Themyscira. But then again, they name dropped Bruce Wayne and Arrow, like, 3 weeks ago, so why not?
That's true. I mean, things are getting more lenient.
It seems so. Like, we have a Superman on Supergirl. It really would not surprise me if we do get, like, recurring, like, guest Batman and Wonder Woman's at some point in one of these shows.
See, weirdly, I don't necessarily need Batman because we have so many Batman-like characters anyway.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But
well, that's the thing. If Batman was going to appear, I'd want it to be on Supergirl with Superman.
I agree.
If he was going to, that's where I'd want it.
I agree, but theoretically, would they want it on Arrow to kind of go, like, I'm going to teach you how to do this properly, sort of thing?
Well, no, I don't think they can. I think if he's on Arrow, as soon as he's learned that Oliver's killed at all in the past, he's going to put him in prison. And I feel like you're going to break your continuity almost by having Batman have to kick the shit out of Oliver Queen. And if you tell me that Oliver convinces him of anything otherwise, I will be...
Look, I'm just saying, Batman does kind of let Jason Todd do his thing.
Okay, you thought of one example, right? But
I can probably think of more, given time.
I don't know. I would be yelling, like, no, you're ruining Batman if he just goes along with what Oliver does. Like, I would be yelling about it. I would not be happy. He would fit in Supergirl better. Surprisingly enough, that's the one where he would fit best because he's been established that he already exists because we've had references to him. One with his pointy ears, and Supergirl mentioned he's got a vigilante friend with a lot of gadgets.
Maybe we can get it on like Black Lightning, where that's fresh.
Maybe. I feel like they're going to shy away from a lot of the bigger DC stuff in that one, but yeah, maybe. But no, it was cool. It was a nice little moment. It was a nice, like, oh shit, they actually just did that. And plus, again, given the fact that in mythology she's meant to be the daughter of Zeus, that fits in quite nicely with Wonder Woman mythology. Yeah,
it does.
Throw her in with Themyscira. That makes a lot of sense. So no, that was a nice touch. So the rest of the episode, we have the Freaky Friday stuff going on with Jackson Stein.
Courtesy of Ray's nanites.
Yes, they get swapped around. And I was actually thinking early on, I bet the way to fix this is just to become Firestorm. And it took a guest star to come in and be like, hey, why don't you just merge? Like, I only learned about you guys like a minute ago, and I've never even seen it happen, so I don't really understand it that well. But hey, I feel like it'd probably work. And sure enough, it did. Which did lead to the great moment. I got really pumped up seeing Stein in the Firestorm role instead of Jax for a change, and it was Jax who was in the head instead.
Yeah, Steinstorm.
Yeah, Steinstorm. That was a nice little touch. It was like giving him one hurrah of doing it, and it was cool. So it gave him a good moment. As for them actually doing impressions of each other, I thought it was hit and miss.
Yeah,
I thought it was hit and miss. I thought Jax doing Stein was a little bit over the top at times. Like he was really trying to emphasize it.
Yeah, I think at first it was really solid, and then it would slip further it got into the episode. Yeah,
like as funny as the little rant he made about like taking like roles from all the actual actresses away, when because Helen's like getting inserted into all these movies. As much as good as that rant was, that was the one where it was really sticking out to me, where he was really overdoing it at times. But so we had stuff where he's got this crush on this. He had this boyhood crush on what was it, Hedy Lamarr. There you go. And he's like, oh, technically she's my one pick, my pass. I got the wage permission on this one. Of course,
this seems like cheating when you have a timeship.
It is bullshit because when he picked her, she was already like dead. At least I think she was. I don't know. Maybe she was still alive, but like it depends when they.
I mean, it depends whether they picked it because they've been married for a while.
Yeah, but even if she was alive, though, she's much older than they are, right? As old as Stein is, he's not that old. So, it's a bit of unfair because it's like, oh, yeah, that's obviously never going to happen. Oh, now he's got a time ship and she's like, young and 20-something.
I can go back and see her.
But to be fair, he never does. Although Jax, with the psychic connection, does kind of pull him up on it. He's like, hey, I know what's going on in your head. I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had some moments. I had some fun banter. I did like the little bit at the end where she's like, "Oh, I actually like older men." Like, it was a nice little. It was like she was throwing him a little bone. It was like, here, have a nice compliment.
I thought that they did a good job with getting an actress that looked relatively similar to her.
Oh.
Yeah. I was impressed.
Yeah. Also, it makes sense that he'd have to crush on the one that's also an inventor.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Like,
did you know about that story and stuff before?
Not that extensively. Like, I knew, like, I knew she did other stuff, but I wasn't really really. I couldn't have told you what it was specifically.
Yeah. There's a really good series on her on the You Must Remember This podcast. Like, that goes into a lot of what she did. Well worth checking out. It's really interesting stuff.
Cool. Yeah. So Amaya finds out that Kuasa is her granddaughter. She's Marie's sister.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing she'll have to deal with. Not much to say on it. Helen got to stab her.
It's fine, but it could be more interesting later once we get some, actual emotional weight from Zari about it.
Oh, sure, yeah. It's just kind of plot building stuff. Obviously, Damien Dark's around. I enjoyed a couple of his things here. I liked him laughing hysterically when he found out that they'd switched bodies. So that was
a lot of fun. Yeah,
that was pretty amusing. They actually got to run away because he was too busy.
Can I just say I love him
himself.
being a Hollywood agent.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Just he was like, yeah, I'd be pretty good at this.
Yeah. I also I really liked the small joke. Mick didn't have a lot of stuff to do in this episode, but I did like the small joke where we first see Hedy and in Jack's body, Stein's like, oh, there she is, my dream, the woman of my dreams, and then Mick just goes, I do her. And just has a, he's shocked and appalled.
He looks horrified. It's like, you would say that.
So no, what was that? I think the episode suffers a little bit because some of the Helen stuff, like I say, it felt a bit murky in what they were doing with it. And then I thought the final fight when they're actually fighting Damien Dark, and it's just like it all felt a little bit like kind of repetitive compared to the last time we fought. It wasn't as fun as the last time either. We had Damien's daughter just sort of holding the powers in her hand. She took a bit of Firestorm power, a bit of Amaya's blue, mystical.
It was fine.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of by the numbers in that sense. Like the final sort of conflict didn't do much for me.
We didn't know that was Damien's daughter, right?
I don't think we did, though. I did in the last episode from the credits. She was credited as Eleanor Dark, so
okay.
I didn't know for sure it was his daughter
but they weren't hiding it.
Yeah, so they weren't super hiding it, but yeah, this was a reveal. This one that it was actually his daughter. So that's the thing. Now, I'm still liking him being evil. I'm still because he damn near kills Sarah. Actually, Sarah's in med bay at the end because she gets
I think
wiped out.
It's the most vicious he's ever been, but at the same time he's kind of still hamming it up.
Yeah,
in a good way.
Yeah, I'm glad because on Arrow when he had his powers, it felt like he was mostly kind of holding back for some weird reason.
Yeah, whereas here, I feel like he's actually using his powers. He's kind of throwing people around. He's letting loose with them. Still feels like maybe to an extent he's toying with them a bit because he could just snap their necks if he really wanted to. But villains don't do that because that's not fun.
Yeah. So no, I really like the moment where they're going to rescue. I say rescue, but kidnap/rescue Helen, and the guard opens the back of the truck and it's Zari and Amaya, and he's like, "Oh, you must be the producer's prized whores," and did he just call us? And,
smack.
Their reaction to that was pretty good. I like that quite a bit. So no, I thought it was fine. I feel like this week I have a really weird kind of everything was good, but nothing was stand out. This was the best episode of the show this season. They've all had better episodes, I think.
Okay.
Certainly Flash and Legends, I think.
Yeah, I think Supergirl might be. If it's not the best, it's definitely in the top, maybe the second best.
Yeah, it was a solid episode of Supergirl, but I feel like Flash and Legends almost suffer just by comparison to themselves because they've had some really standout episodes.
Agreed. I still had a lot of fun with the Hollywood stuff in this. I think the Freaky Friday stuff was a bit of a letdown.
Well, this is the thing. You said there was going to be a Freaky Friday episode, and I got excited, and then you told me it was Jackson Stein's, and I got less excited because I feel like it's just such the obvious one. Because they already have that psychic connection that I feel like we already have those jokes anyway to an extent.
We do.
Whereas if you told me it was going to be like Sarah and
the fun was supposed to come out of seeing them do acting each other rather than just having the feelings, and it went to varying degrees of good. So that's what kind of dragged it down.
I think Mick switching bodies with someone, it almost doesn't matter who, would have been fantastic.
Agreed.
But that's not what we got. So
next time, they'll do it. They can do it. They can do it again. It's fine. It's a cartoon.
That'll take us on to Arrow season 6, episode 6. It's called Promises Kept. So this falls on pretty directly from last week, because we even talked about how last week's episode kind of ended with a non-ending. I'm
gonna be upfront with this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember very much because I was more drunk than usual because this one tried to kill me.
He was very drunk. As you may know, audience, he has drinking. Again, we watched this together this week, and the drinking rules were as follows. And there's more than this, but the ones that were relevant to this episode, from hindsight. Obviously, he's always had the rule that if someone says, "Are you okay?" or some variation of, he must take a drink. There was like 8 of them in this episode.
Yeah, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking small drinks. I'm talking, a good drink of neat whiskey.
Yeah, and it was actually last week when I found out Deathstroke was back. I said you need to take 2 drinks if we get a shadow, and it's funny because last week there was almost like a attempted drink because he used the word shadow, but just as the word shadow to mean a shadow at one point, and he didn't do it. But this week there's a point where he starts hallucinating and Shadow appears and he actually goes, "Shadow." And I was like, yes, we got a Shadow. So he took a drink for that. What else did you take a drink for? I can't remember.
I don't know.
There was other things.
There was other things, but it's kind of blurry.
Yeah. So the crux of the episode is that Slade is offered to join this, or he says he wants to join the society, this Jackals gang with his son Joseph, who's nothing like the character from the comics. He can speak for a start. He doesn't have his powers where he can sort of take over other people's bodies for himself. So he doesn't have any of that going on. And we get flashbacks again, although this time it's flashbacks to when Slade got off the island, which is kind of like it's pre-season 1. Because because it's before Oliver went to Hong Kong, so it's like a few years before season 1.
Yeah, and I think some of it was during season 1.
Yeah, eventually he saw on the news that Oliver Queen was back, so it spread over some time.
Yeah.
But the first one, he's in the hospital bed, and he's like, oh, he just got back from the island, and he's lost his eye, and he's all grouchy about it, and he's the media crew is slowly sort of making him more demented as he goes on, and it gets to a point where he actually he's training with his son at wherever his son is involved with.
Australian Secret Intelligence Service.
I think so. Yeah.
ASIS.
Yeah.
I think it was ASIS, and I wasn't sure what that actually stood for until I started saying Australian Secret. I was like, oh, hang on, maybe that's it.
It may be. Although you bring up a point, I have no idea what the Australian agencies are called.
I'm pretty sure it's ASIS.
Sure, I didn't know. I can name you some other countries, but I can't name you Australia's.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But hey, So at the end though, he snaps because he's seeing Shadow and ends up butchering every single person who because he's just in a training room. Half of his flashbacks take place in this one gym in the training facility, because I presume they didn't want to spend money on more sets, so they're just in this one location for most of the flashbacks.
Look, and let's be honest, neither of us have really heard of ASIS. They don't have much of a budget.
Oh, it's ASIS that don't have the budget. All right,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, they only have one training room.
So, by the way, Thea is still credited for the episode, just for the record.
This is the easiest payday she's ever gotten.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what they're playing with her. This is.
She has been in 1 episode so far. She was in the flashbacks.
Asleep.
No, she was in the flashbacks, right? In the first episode, on the bits on the island.
Okay, yeah, maybe a little bit before they found her.
Yeah, she must have been.
Yeah, okay, but not by much. Not by much. But, yeah, so he goes nuts and kills everyone who just happens to be trained. They're all innocent people. Because this is the thing. Obviously last week he went through the hallway like the Terminator, and it was kind of cool. But those were part of this international like gang who are like doing all these shady things. They're bad guys. This was like, no, this is people who are just training to be in this Australian military, so they're all innocent people.
Secret Service,
whatever, like same difference. The point is, they're just doing their job. They're training to do their job. This is like if it went into the FBI or the CIA and went through the building like murdering people. Like, no,
yeah, murdered a bunch of their agents.
Yeah, that's essentially what he does here. And like Joseph comes in at the end and he's just like covered in blood. He steps out of the shadow and he's like, he drops some really cheesy 80s movie line. Of course he does.
I love how hammed up it is. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
it's working for me.
So basically, the whole thing's about like he's tempted to join, but then he sides with Oliver and stops them from stealing these explosives. And he's like, yeah, I realised that. Like I thought of you and your son, and I don't want to be that to my boy, and so on.
Oh yeah, because he has the awful moment where. So Joseph actually kidnaps Oliver. He spots him and catches him, and he has him tied up on a chair, and he's interrogating him, and Oliver just willingly brings up his kid, like just willingly offers this information that he has a son,
in front of all these bad guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you doing this? And I mean, they try and excuse it. Slade says, "Oh yeah, it's when you mention William that I realised that this isn't really my son. I've got got better things."
It's a tactic to try and get him to make sure he's on his side.
Yeah, but I still think it was a bit misguided using your son like that.
At the end of the episode, Joseph reveals that he's got a brother that Slade didn't know about, called Grant, which again, also from the comics. Although it's weird, in the comics, Grant is typically dead by the time we get to proper Joseph stuff.
And I think I'm fairly sure in the season 1 Legends of Tomorrow episode in the future where we had the other Deathstroke, I'm pretty sure that was Grant.
Yeah, I mean, I'd forgotten that was Grant. Let's be honest. Like, I remember them doing future Deathstroke. I wonder if like this even matters to it. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if we meet Grant and he's got Joseph's character, personality, and powers. If they've switched them for some stupid reason.
Why would they do that?
Did they mention he had a son named Joseph like, in an earlier season, and that's why it had to be Joseph first, or something? I don't know.
Don't recall them ever mentioning it.
But I don't know. And they kept mentioning his wife, who we've not seen yet, but I feel like they've mentioned him enough times that we're going to see Adeline.
Yeah, I'd say I'm looking forward to that, but it's Arrow, so I'm not.
Yeah, they'll probably butcher her. This is kind of what Arrow does at times. But
I mean, she's a hard character to butcher.
Is she?
I mean, just being manipulative and shady. It's kind of an easy thing to get right.
I mean, they've already done it with half the characters on the show. I mean, that was Moira, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do that again.
Yeah, so he's off to hunt his new son. I say hunt, you know what I mean. Find him, yeah. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not going to bring you into Oliver because I've already almost got you killed and taken you away from your son. And of course, one of the new drinking rules, of course, was that if Oliver mentions how good a mother that Felicity would be or is, Connor would have to take a drink. He doesn't do it though.
No, that's down the drink, isn't it?
Is that down the drink? Oh, there you go. But he almost gets there. No, down the drink is for if anyone says bloodlust.
Oh yeah, I thought this one was down as well.
I don't remember that being down, but I mean,
I think I'm playing it as down.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever.
It's awful enough.
He comes from. It was funny is last week in Legends we had Zari was playing Mortal Kombat, and I thought it was Mortal Kombat again. Although Connor noticed that Felicity and William were not playing Mortal Kombat. I thought it was Mortal Kombat because I noticed Sub-Zero, but it was actually Injustice 2. In which Sub-Zero was like a bonus character, and the other character was Blue Beetle, who of course is a DC Comics character, because Injustice is a DC Comics fighting game.
Yeah, it's getting weird.
That was a lot weird, mate. Of course, we've never had a Blue Beetle in the show. We've referenced Ted Cord a bunch of times, because Cord Industries is a thing. So I mean, obviously it's just a simple little wink. It's not a big deal, but it's just kind of funny that I thought it was weird that 2 weeks in a row we had a NetherRealms fighting game.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is owned by Warner Brothers, by the way, which, is why it's easy to get a hold of.
To be fair, I don't know. They're big enough games that it feels natural.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. It's just, because I am aware of these things, I always sort of, it's funny how, like in the Legends episode, it's the Warner Brothers studio that we're talking about, because of course it is.
Yeah. Did you know what's been the Legends episode? I really, we talk about how they play with the intro music and things like that.
Oh yeah, the black and white.
They did the Hollywood intro. Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, it was a nice touch. I'll give them that. So, yeah, that was it. Oliver was all happy to be home, and that was nice. The rest of the episode though was Diggle.
Diggle making me laugh a lot.
So Diggle's drug supplier, who he goes to get some more. He's played by oh god, I can't remember his real name, but he was on Friends. He was in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. He's popped up in a bunch of places. So that's him. He's the scorpion, I want to say, or is it the snake? The dragon. It was the dragon because he had a tattoo. Remember?
Yeah, because I was like, is he supposed to be Richard Dragon?
Ah, is he? Is he maybe Richard Dragon?
I don't know, but they keep calling him just the Dragon. I'm like, is he supposed to be Richard Dragon?
Probably not, since they. No, he's still around. They didn't get him, did they?
Yeah.
So maybe he is still. Maybe he is going to be turned to be that. But he's like, okay, so he's like, okay, I need this drug. He thinks it's just a steroid thing that's eventually going to be approved. He doesn't realize that he's taking some like actual narcotic that's just been sold in the streets as a
this like 3D printed drug. What?
Yeah, apparently 3D printers, and I don't know if this is true, but if they can print actual chemicals now to make drugs with.
I mean, I've never heard of it, but they're like, I think Wild Dog questions it, and Kurt's just like, "Oh, this is military grade." They can, I'm like, what?
It sounds absurd to me because to me, 3D printing is only materials and not chemical mixing. But
I mean, if it's but I don't understand how this can be classed as 3D printing. It's just mixing chemicals. That's 3D printing is forming a structure.
Can it form a chemical structure? I don't think so. It sounds like absolute nonsense to me, but I don't want to completely call it out and say it's bullshit.
It sounds like bollocks, but it might not.
But just in case this is actually a thing, I don't want to be like an idiot and just say this is ridiculous. If it is a thing, it's very advanced. It's very like cutting edge.
Sounds impressive as shit. It's true, which is why I think it's like, this is too impressive. This has got to be bollocks.
Yeah, and this show's pulled off some bullshit. Yeah, as it's pointed out in this episode, because Curtis is like, hey, I cured a woman's paralysis once. He brought that up, which is still, I still can't believe that it's taken him like 2 years to go, oh, maybe we should like try and mass market this to help lots of people.
He's kind of a prick, isn't he? No, but that's the worst part now. He's mass marketing it. He's like, he knows how to do it. He's not going to charities and going, hey, look, charities, fund this. We can do this. He's marketing it. He wants to do this as a business.
I'm okay. Honestly, I'm okay with them selling it as long as it's a fair, affordable price.
I get that. I still feel like I think it's what I'd do, but I feel like this, like for these characters, these supposed to be like better than everyone, should be going to charities and going, look.
Sure. No, I have no problem with a reason, and by reasonable cost, I mean the cost it takes to make it, and then a little bit of a profit margin. Actual like prices for medical supplies now, which get skyrocketed because companies are assholes. No, I don't agree with any of that bullshit.
I think the problem is that the cost to produce was insanely high. That was the whole reason that Parmatech didn't go ahead with it.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Still, it feels like maybe we should have thought about trying to like help other people who are like. This is like. It's honestly the same thing as if they got a cure for cancer and then didn't tell anyone for 2 years.
It is, and this whole mission of vigilante mission is like, all right, we'll save the city. It's like you could change the world. Like this is literally world-changing news that you have here. But nah, I'm going to throw some T-spheres at people.
Oh dear. Is that, remember how like, someone made the the atom once for the you could have like put your suit out there, your technology out there, and changed the world, but you kept it for yourself to keep powerful. It was Reverse Flash last season, I think. Yeah. And I feel like this turned up to like 100 because it's like no, you could cure people all over the planet who are in wheelchairs because of paralysis or similar effects. You could cure that, and you've not done it.
Yeah, and at least with Atom, they addressed it. They made a point of going, hey, that was kind of a selfish dick move. And that's okay, because Ray's screw-up counter is through the roof already, so this is just one more. And
the weird thing with Ray's, though, is that it would help people, obviously, but
I think the difference is this has a tangible benefit as a superhero, where so we get like
Yeah.
the premise is like, oh, this could be
But
misused.
no, but even the idea that like for Curtis, like it doesn't help him in any way to keep this a secret. Not really. Like it's not like he's benefiting from it by holding it secret. Whereas Ray is benefiting from keeping it to himself because he's the only one who has this suit.
Yeah.
Like, was he actually benefiting from having this technology around that can help cure paralysis?
The feeling of being really smug that he can do it. and that he gets to lord it over everyone.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. We're not actually. It sounds like we're picking on Curtis. We're really not. We're picking on the writers because it's not like it's not like Curtis has been written to be this asshole. Curtis isn't even thinking about it because the writers haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling that it's never been addressed.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, you cured such a common, like, but very severe thing that so many people have. Like, there's a reason why we have wheelchair access on buildings, because there's enough people in wheelchairs that it's a requirement. It's a very, relatively common thing.
It is, yeah.
And obviously not all of it's because of paralysis, some of it's for other reasons, but...
Of course, but paralysis is not uncommon, that's the point, isn't it? It's like, it afflicts enough people that it's a major thing.
Oh, dear.
God, what a bunch of dicks this character are.
But anyway, I got really sidetracked there because I was getting to the point where Diggle then finds out that this dragon so-and-so is actually this brutal cop killer who's going around murdering people, and now he's conflicted because he has to help take him down, even though that's his supply to keep him, non-shaky. And he's going to try and steal some of the drugs when they're taking him down, and then they're on fire. And he has that.
You can see him stare at them. He's going, "I can get in and out of there, right?"
Yeah, he's thinking about it.
You could just see him going, "Be the Flash, be the Flash."
But he doesn't, and he confesses to his wife. He confesses to the team at the end of the episode, and he apologizes to all of them. And he's like, "Oh, this is I've been an asshole. I owe everyone an apology." And everyone kind of lets him away with it. So
Bit too easy.
Although Dinah was going to give him a gift and then doesn't. Like, we see that she had a gift for him, and I'm not like.
I don't understand. I mean, we've been talking about their sexual tension lately.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt as particularly weird. It was like, okay, there's a little gift here now involved, and this is the first episode in a long time we see Diggle's wife again.
Yeah. I don't know if they're actually going down that path. I think it's one of these weird things where the way they write their scenes, there's just a lot of this intense staring, and it's like, how can I not take this as anything other than some sort of attraction? And I feel like the gift is probably just this thing because you've been doing a good job as leader, I got you a gift or something like that, or something, I don't know. But then again, it's Arrow, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were going to try and do the love triangle. And
I think I just assume the worst when it comes to Arrow.
Diggle is going to be tempted by the new Black Canary.
I just think it was notable that for the first time in a long time, we were reminded that Diggle has a wife and kid as well.
I mean, I hadn't forgotten, but yeah, it's like the show...
Yeah, but the show has not mentioned it in a while.
Yeah. Maybe, but she I don't even know what Dad.
This episode was bollocks, wasn't it?
That's funny because you were saying different things while you were drunk.
Oh yeah. No. When I'm drunk, it's so bollocks that it's amazing.
Yeah, whilst watching this, he was so drunk that towards the end he's like, "I'm not gonna lie, I love this episode. This is the best episode ever."
It got me absolutely hammered, so I love it for that.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it a good episode, but I love it.
Full of lies. That's all I'm saying. He's full of lies. Okay, are we done? Is that as done with talking about the shows? I think it is.
I think it is. Yeah.
I think we're wrapping up. All right, so we pick our favourite of the week. So Connor, what was your favourite episode of the week, and why is it Arrow?
Because it got me blind drunk, and I love that. My liver, on the other hand, has some problems.
Yeah. So what's the actual answer?
I think it's Supergirl this week for the. I think it's the first time all season, but I think Flash and Legends, while had good, strong episodes, they were not their best episodes, notably. But Supergirl was really strong. Yeah,
I think I'm going to pick Supergirl as well, which is the second time for me because I picked it last week.
Yeah.
But I think I think it stands out more partly because it is such a focused concept. Like we don't see most of the characters in this. It's like him and hell. Even Supergirl and Alex only get like a couple of scenes.
It probably adds up to about 3 or 4 minutes at most in total.
Jean has a cameo. It's these young actors who are guest stars that we see for the most of the episode. But it kind of like, for me, it's almost like, I was like bashing Smallville earlier, but it kind of, to me, almost like justifies my thoughts where, Smallville should be a few flashback episodes and not an entire show that's 10 seasons long.
I agree. I think also it gets extra props from me just because when I'm told about this episode as a concept, it's like, oh, we're doing young versions of them all episode. I kind of groan a little bit just because I think I expect the worst when I hear that.
Yeah.
But no, they did a really good job with it.
No, I concur. So, Supergirl wins this week for both of us.
Yes.
That said, it wasn't like night and day ahead the other two. It was just...
No, I just think it was clear in terms of against their own seasons. I think Supergirl was one of its better episodes, and Flash and Legends were one of their weaker episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, so... Yeah, that is. Like we said, we will be adding on an extra thing coming basically early December to the show, which we'll then continue to do when the other shows are off air. So I'll just tease that. In fact, will we tell them? Will we tell them what we're doing?
We can do.
Do we give them a little announcement? All right, so basically one of the things we're going to start doing, and we're waiting until after November because we've got a lot of extra Netflix shows to do for the next few weeks, which is, filling up our time substantially, is we're going to start working our way through Young Justice, the animated show, from the beginning, and maybe just tacking on one episode of that a week on top of our weekly slate of episodes. But when those shows go off for Christmas, we'll maybe do a batch of episodes every week while the other shows are off. The idea being that when we get to the new season starting sometime next year, we'll have done the first 2 seasons. And the plan is that once we've done all of Young Justice, we will go back and do other animated shows.
Yeah. I think typically we would have started elsewhere, but because there's more Young Justice coming and we want to talk about that season on here.
If it wasn't because there was a new season of that coming, we would be starting at Batman the Animated Series. There's no way we'd be starting at anything else, but... because of that. And that said, I don't even want to go to that next because I know the Blu-ray's coming and I want to wait until the...
I know, but then it's like, what do we do for a couple of months? Because it's not coming that late next year, is it?
It's coming sometime next year. I don't know when it's coming. They didn't say exactly when it was being released.
Okay.
But but there's other things to do. And, I wouldn't rule out other shows as well. I actually wouldn't mind doing Lois and Clark as the bonus thing at one point.
Yeah, maybe over the summers.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Over the summers, maybe. But the idea is just that when the regular shows take a break, and when they're not taking a break, we'll maybe have one at the end of the show. But that's the plan. So, hopefully that sounds like fun. And Joe, I've never watched the 1950s Superman show. Maybe that's something that we'd do eventually as well.
I haven't either. I'm pretty sure that's in my Blu-ray set, but I've not seen it.
Oh, no, the pilot episode's in your Blu-ray set, not the show.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 seasons of the show.
Yeah. The animated one.
No.
Okay, I thought you were on about the cartoons. You're on about the actual show.
That's older. Yeah, George Reeves' Superman.
Yeah, I'm with you now.
Yeah, the Mole Men movie that kind of launched that's in the Blu-ray set, but the show itself is out in DVD. I've never seen the Superboy TV show. I never watched past the pilot of Birds of Prey. There's a lot of old shows that had one season. The Flash show, 1990s show.
Some of these I don't want to watch.
That is fair, but I feel like eventually we're going to run out of these things, and we're going to be like, okay, let's dig deep.
I mean, you say that. There's a lot of animated content to get.
There is, but we can dig deep eventually. We can go. I
mean, have you seen most of the animated content?
I've seen a lot of it. I've seen all of Batman. I've seen all of Superman. I've seen a lot of the Justice League.
Justice League Unlimited.
I don't think I've seen all Unlimited. I think I've seen the 2 seasons of the non-Unlimited Justice League.
Yeah. So you got Unlimited. Then you got Batman Beyond.
Yeah, I've seen some of that. Not as much of it as the others though.
Yeah. Then what else you got? Then that's kind of the Timber stuff, I guess.
Yeah, which is mainly what I'd want to do. I'm not really fussed about doing the Batman or Brave and the Bold.
The Batman, from what I saw, the Batman's actually pretty good.
Isn't that the one with the weird Joker hair where he's got the big jester, sort of spiky green hair? That's the Batman one, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking Beware the Bat.
Yeah, Beware the Batman was one of them as well.
Yeah. I'm thinking of that one. That one's pretty good.
The point is, there's lots of stuff to do. I think, maybe like, when we're off for like the regular shows, that's when we bring in like a Lois and Clark episode on top of some animated stuff or something.
We got Teen Titans as well.
Teen Titans. Do you mean Teen Titans Go?
Yeah. Well, no, the original Teen Titans animated.
Okay. I'd forgotten they'd done that, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Teen Titans Go is like I think it's the same voice cast as that, but that's really, the joke version.
That's the really kiddie one, yeah. That's for
it's actually really good.
It's
hilarious.
But no, these are things that we'll do in the off weeks, and we'll to get through Young Justice, we're going to actually tack them onto one episode as well as a bonus at the end of the regular episodes too. But anyway, that's the plan. So hopefully that sounds fun, and you like the sound of that. So that is that. So that brings an end to episode 6 of Television the Multiverse, which is easy to remember right now because it matches the numbers of the episodes. As soon as they go on a break and then we're doing other things for episodes, we're going to be like, no, now the numbers don't match.
But I don't need to think about it. It's your job to think about it.
Indeed. Anyway, let us know what you thought of this week's shows in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you listen to the audio feed for this, I mean, obviously this is kind of weird because if you if that's where you go first, and this is a problem you're having, you won't actually get to hear this. But assuming that you came to YouTube thinking maybe it wasn't going on in the audio feed, refresh your audio feed and maybe unsubscribe and resubscribe. We switched hosts for a lot of things, and some of the podcast apps aren't automatically switching over, so you have to kind of unsub, search for it again, and resub. But
it's a pain, but it's done now. Never again.
Yeah. I wouldn't promise that, but yeah. But yeah. So you know, do pay attention to that. If you want to support the show and support the channel, head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You can do that over there. You might be interested in the Justice League review, which will be getting recorded on Monday and going up late Monday, so you can look forward to that. That'll be with at least me and Matt, potentially Connor as well.
Schedules are looking promising.
They're looking promising. Oh, good. Yeah, that's new information to me, but that's cool. So yeah. Yeah, very good. So thanks very much for watching, guys. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, and we will see you next time. And we sometimes screw up things for the better.